In this edition of Hooked UK, we've come to one of Scotland's most beautiful areas, which is Lochaber. Behind me we have Loch Arkaig, which lies directly in between the Great Glen and the Knoydart Peninsula in the distance. Loch Arkaig is without a doubt one of Scotland's hidden gems when it comes to trout fishing, with specimen trout up to 20 pounds being caught regularly, not by trawling, but on the fly, on the surface. The pike population in Loch Arkaig is also very healthy, offering pike anglers unparalleled sport on this wonderful water. So we're going to be joined by Stan Headley and Mark Hirst, who's going to be our ghillie, and we're going to head out onto Loch Arkaig and see exactly what fruits this wonderful place has to offer. I hope you enjoy the show.
Just a 25-minute drive from Speen Bridge, Loch Arkaig lies on Cameron of Loch Eel's Achnacary estate, right in the heart of Lochaber. Achnacary and Loch Arkaig are not only famous for their outstanding natural beauty, but also for their historical importance in terms of the Jacobite rebellion and the commando training camp during the Second World War. And the area surrounding Loch Arkaig is Clan Cameron country, whose current chief is Donald Cameron of Loch Eel, more commonly known as just Loch Eel, who sits at Achnacary Castle. Loch Eel, along with Achnacary Sporting, look after the country pursuits on the estate, which includes the fishing, which now can be booked online via the brand new Fish Lochaber website from FishPal. So we're now going to head up the loch through this absolutely stunning countryside, which not many people know about, surprisingly. And we're going to talk a little bit about tactics and then go and put them to the test.
So we're here at Loch Arkaig in May. It's mid-May, the water's still cold. We've got a bit of warmth in the air, to say the least. So the fish are going to be slightly down when it's as bright as this. So we've opted for a fast intermediate here, a fast glass, which just takes it down that little bit extra. On the top dropper, I've got the stone goat, which is a good all-round fly for Arkaig, and it does account for a lot of FEROX trout. We've got the pearly dabbler, which is a favourite of mine. Again, it's always on my cast. It seems to pick off fish, whether it be brown trout, wild brown trout, rainbow trout, wherever I go, sea trout as well for that matter. And on the point, I would normally, on here, because we're targeting FEROX trout as well as standard brown trout, I've actually got on a mini humongous. And, you know, as unorthodox as that may seem to some of you, it does work quite well, in fact. And although you maybe not catch them on that, it certainly brings them into the other two droppers. So you can fish at 2 or 3 droppers on here, traditional loch style, with the drifting boat, and you know, covering all your water in front of you. Bring your flies to the boat, make them dibble in the wave, hold them. That's when you'll find you'll get a lot of your trout. Your larger FEROX trout will take you usually in the first couple of pools when they're out there, when the flies are out. Okay. As far as the rod I'm using, this is 11 foot 7/8 weight. It's a classic loch style rod. It's got the butt extension just to give you that extra support, and a good long rod for just hanging the flies. And you know, when I'm fishing for a wild brown trout on lochs such as this, I would never be without this type of rod. Now also I'll set up a second rod. The second rod may have a floater on it for dry fly. Well, even though you don't see a lot of fish rising on these lochs, you know, fishing the dry fly, they're opportunists. They'll come up and they'll grab it from nowhere, and it's great fun. And you can fish buzzers as well if you get a flat cam. Not ideal conditions on here, but if you were to come across flat cam conditions, I would be fishing buzzers, drill backs, or even a mini lure on the point just to get down to them. It does work. Second rod though, on here, Arkaig's got good pike in it, very good pike. And without a doubt, I would always have a second rod set up just when we do pass these weedy bays, stop for 10-15 minutes, have a few casts, and you never know what you might pick up. And it's always worth a shot. We will be doing a pike show on the fly exclusively in the coming months, so do stay tuned for that. We'll go into a lot more detail regarding the pike setup on the fly. As far as breaking string goes, again, a lot of people disagree with me on that, but when I'm fishing for wild brown trout, you know, certainly in years gone by, I might used to fish sort of 5-6 pound breaking strain. But when you're on lochs like this, there is big fish there, and even the smaller fish take you very, very hard. So although you might not be catching fish in the sort of 8, 9, 10 pound category regularly, the actual pull you get off these fish, you know, a lot of the time could be disruptive for the knots on the leader. And based on that, I always go for 9 pounds, sometimes up to 12.5 pounds. But it is fluorocarbon, the diameter is still very, very thin. The 12.5 pounds is 0.24, and the 9 pounds a lot less than that as well. We've got Maxima here. If you don't want to use fluorocarbon, if it is windy, dull, you know, and you're needing to get the leader turned over pretty well, you know, it doesn't do any harm. Just fish your 8 pound Maxima. You know, it's nice, thick, it's stiff, and it gives you that good turnover. Fluorocarbon, when it is very windy, you find it could get you caught up in fankles quite a bit. So it's worth just to carry both. You know, they both got the pros and cons. Fluorocarbon's good. It sinks. If you're fishing dry fly, the fluorocarbon does actually sink. Still degrease it, and yeah, great. It's got the right diameter for the dry flies, and it's got the strength. With your standard monofilament Maxima Drennan, you know, you do need to always degrease the line because it does float. So that's important to keep in mind. And again, flies, always carry a good selection of traditional flies. Cape McLaren's always a good one. Bibios, you've got your Clan Chiefs, but Claret, particularly in Arkaig's, is a very good one that works. And I'll show you these shortly, close up, so you can actually see what you should be fishing with. But always carry a good selection of flies. Carry some lures as well. I see a lot of people that come fishing, they'll only take traditional flies when they're fishing for wild brown trout. Always be prepared. I'll have my buzzers with me. In fact, I'll have the same kit with me that I would have if I was fishing on Loch Leven or Lake of Menteith, or in fact the rivers. I just carry it in the back of the car because it's there. You just never know. So that's quite important. But we'll go and put all this to the test, and hopefully we'll get you some fish. Okay.
Well, here we are in Loch Arkaig, up in Lochaber country, and it's one of the easiest places to catch FEROX, but easy is a sort of a movable feast. Some of the factors that affect FEROX fishing is the wind direction, wave height, overhead conditions. You've really got to get everything lined up perfectly to get the good big fish. FEROX, a lot of discussion about FEROX, whether it's a lifestyle or whether it's a genetic determination. Personally, I don't get involved in that argument, but I love my FEROX and I come up here to catch them. They're largely piscivorous fish, feeding on char, small trout, basically anything that's going, but you can't catch them on the fly in Loch Arkaig and Loch Lochy, which is its sister loch. And they're wonderful fish. Getting them up to the high teens of pounds. People have had them in up to £20. Majestic animals, and they really should be the ultimate goal of the trout fisherman, the trout fly fisherman, I should say. They're not desperately common. You've got to cover a lot of water to get one. You're never ever going to get a basket of them, but top of the peak, top of the food chain predators tend to carve themselves out big territories. And we're not going out into deep water, we're basically fishing a contour line that runs around about 12-15 foot. Try to stay on that contour line. Just traditional, old-fashioned flies. Quite big, bigger than normal perhaps, but not desperately big. And I think that's about it at the moment.
Yeah, Stirling International Angling Festival running between the 6th and 10th of August this year. In and around Stirling and places far beyond like Loch Fyne, Maggiscroft Fishery at Cumbernauld, Orco Fishery in Perthshire. I believe today we've just secured the River Endrick up at Loch Lomond, which is a really a wee gold nugget for us with the National Park being on board. And right here in the heart ourselves, we'll be doing things at the hub event at the Stirling Agricultural Centre, which is just on the outskirts of town. And when you look in the backdrop and the fantastic setting it is, we've got an awful lot to offer, and hopefully we'll get a great crowd during these 5 days. This is the first time we think it's ever been done anywhere in the world where all aspects of angling are coming together under one festival. That being sea fishing, coarse angling and of course game fishing. And we're also putting on taster sessions for people that have never fished before. So come and try sessions that they can go free of charge, be met by coaches who help them tackle up and fly fishing in particular. And hopefully they'll catch a fish for the first time and the great pond they're hooked and they'll come back and try it again and again. Andrew Toft is coming along, the current spey casting champion. Great to see Andrew again. Scott McKenzie, we hope, is going to join him. We've had an endorsement from Sir Ian Botham, who will not be with us, but he's certainly put his mark on it. And there's one or two others that we're working on at the moment in the world of angling that we hope to be present as well. There's competitive angling running from the 6th, from the Wednesday right through till the Sunday. We've got game angling going on at Lake Menteith, one of our really superb fisheries in the area, as well as Carn Valley Reservoir. That'll be forming part of the Six Nations Championships. From the 6 countries from all over Europe taking part in that. There'll be 2 rivers involved. I say we've secured today the Endrick River, and we're still waiting to secure one other, which will probably be the River Devon. We've also got the Sea Fishing Championships. There's 100 plus anglers taking part at Loch Fyne, and that kind of piggybacks on the Long Distance Casting Championship, and where better than at the foot of Stirling Castle to be hosting that event where these guys can cast these things about 400 metres, I believe, and the Scottish champion is also taking part. So it's the first time I'll ever seen that, and it's going to be a real spectacle for the people of Stirling and those that visit to come along and watch it. Coarse Fishing Championships is the Celtic Cup, which is run annually. It's Scotland's turn to host that. That'll be at Maggiscroft for the seniors and the juniors. And I believe we've got the Ladies Coarse Fishing National Championships up at Orco, which I also believe is a first. So we're really excited about that as well. We've got the Disabled National Final at the Lake of Menteith. And we'll have the emergency services taking part to support Help for Heroes. And they're taking out soldiers that have been injured in combat in recent times, and there's a lot of volunteer effort going into that as well. So there's a lot of competition running at different parts, and to coordinate that's obviously going to be a fantastic effort, but it's very exciting for us and it's very exciting for Stirling to be hosting that. We have enlisted the help of a superb TV company to come along who's dedicated to angling, and we're very excited about that as well. So it's going to be out there on various channels for people to enjoy, and we hope this is the first of many festivals, and we hope that Stirling will host it in the future years. When we set this up, we decided we just didn't want Mr. Angler to come along and look at various bits of tackle and waders and stuff like that and meet his old buddies. We wanted the wife, partner, mum, grandma, whatever, and the kids as well to come along and enjoy it. So at the hub event, we've got various attractions that's going to be there, including an angling simulator. This is quite a very exciting piece of kit where you can pick the species of fish you want, rough size, you're attached to a rod and you're looking at a screen and you're actually attached to that fish, and it simulates what can happen. And it'll tell you if you've landed it successfully or you've been broken or whatever. And that's really, I think that's going to attract an awful lot of interest. Having seen it, I was quite excited about it myself. I had, like a sailfish on, it's quite a feeling because you get strapped in like Jaws and you're actually part of that. So that's up there. There'll be the usual bouncy castle and attractions for the young ones. But there'll be a taste of Stirling and a taste of Scotland. Deanston, one of our sponsors, is going to be there with whisky tasting sessions. Taste of Stirling, like local cheeses and beefs and all sorts of stuff. And of course there'll be a lot of the angling companies that will showcase their their own wares. And so there's something for everybody. But we've put on shuttle buses up to Swans Water, a local fishery, and from there anybody can book online or they can come to the festival, put their names down, we'll take them up, they'll be given coaching there, it's free. And there's a whole multitude of different species of trout there, from brownies to brown to blues to golden trout, all sorts of stuff. Other than a small fee for parking, we'd ask people who do park, they'll get a programme free of charge, and the programmes are coming in at about £3. And from that, it's likely you'll get some discount on the day, so it's almost an entirely free event. Full details if they go to the 2014 Stirling website, and just at Angling Festival. In fact, if you Google Stirling International Angling Festival, it'll come up with that page, and just track it from there and you'll see all the attractions that are going on. The 6th to the 10th of August, all these venues that I've aforementioned, but in particular the hub event 9th and 10th, the Saturday and Sunday. So it's a free event, it'll be starting about 10 o'clock in the morning, and there'll be all sorts of stuff going on. It'll be great to see as many people as possible.
Should be great fun.
Should be great fun, I'm really looking forward to it.
So as the day is nearing the end, we're on the final drift. We've had a few trout each, approximately 3/4 to a pound. You know, lovely little fish, great fight. But other than that, not a huge amount doing, and that's probably because of the rise of water. It certainly unsettled the loch a bit. So as we continue down the drift, Stan's line goes completely tight. And initially our ghillie Mark thought that maybe he had a pike on as to where he caught it. But it became very certain before not too long, with the way the fish was behaving, that we have in fact hooked a FEROX. How big, we didn't know at this stage, but we did know that this fish was a good one. So with the fish having been on now for around 20 minutes, I'm still not having sight of it whatsoever. Tensions are running a little bit high in the boat with this being on film. I'm obviously keen to get a look at the fish, just so we know exactly what size it is, because we did know it was a good fish. And the fish was just giving us a good old merry dance and pulling the boat wherever it wished to go. However, we persevered, and eventually we did start seeing signs of the fish tiring, and what we did see was one huge trout with an enormous girth and an enormous kype, and we couldn't quite make out the shape. We knew this was an unusual looking fish, and after a few failed attempts, eventually we get the fish closer into the boat and safely into the net. With the fish safely in the landing net, we now take the boats to the shore and we weigh the fish in the net, along with tag the fish for research purposes, and then get a few pictures and safely get the fish back into the water.
Well, my heaviest ever ground trout. Perhaps not the prettiest. I've showed this side of him. There's the other side. He's got a scar. He's like a salmon. I've never seen a cape like that in a brown. Sorry? Yep. Gotta go! He's gotta go! God!
So there you have it, Staren's largest wild brown trout in over 50 years of fishing. Caught fishing standard loch style tactics with a midge-tip line. The fly, it was a mini humongous on the point, which, as I mentioned before, was used as an attractor, and as I said, they do work. Now headed off to meet Diane Bourne, who's the senior biologist at the Lochaber Fisheries Trust, who's going to tell us a little bit about the new initiatives that have been undertaken in order to re-establish the fisheries on the west coast and in Lochaber. Diane's also going to tell us about the new marketing initiatives for fishing in Lochaber in order for people to come and book their fishing via FishPal, and certainly to give Lochaber the exposure to the fishing community that it long deserves.
So Diane, thanks for taking the time to speak to me today. You're the fisheries biologist with the Lochaber Fisheries Trust.
Yep, that's it.
What kind of work is it you do behind the scenes in order to promote the fishing here in Lochaber itself?
Well, we've got sort of two aspects to that. Firstly, we're trying to help the fishery managers to manage their fish stocks sustainably, so providing the sort of scientific support, the data they need to do that, but also trying to market the fisheries a little bit better. A lot of people don't know how great Lochaber is to come and fish, so we just want to get the message out there, really.
Yeah, the scenery is fantastic, and the fact that you've got a loch here 13-mile long, and I think we've seen one or two anglers out, it's absolutely crazy.
Absolutely. If you want good fishing, you know, on your own, a bit of peace and quiet, it's the place to come.
So you've recently taken on FishPal in order to help market your fishing here, Fish Lochaber. Where do you see that going in the future? What sort of initiatives and how are you actually intending to promote that?
Well, we're hoping to get a lot of interest from the press and specialist fishing magazines and things like that, just to get the message out there how beautiful this place is, and just some of the great fishing. Like you said, the FEROX on Arkaig are up there with the best in Scotland, and people don't know about it, and you get to fish those pretty much on your own at the moment. I mean, we want it to get popular, but not too popular, so we ruin what we've got.
I suppose when you look at Ireland, the fishing in Ireland again is excellent, but the fishing in Scotland is, if on par, if not better
Absolutely.
at times, and it's nobody knows about it.
No, and it's so easy to get here. We're only a couple of hours from Glasgow. It's an untapped sort of gem.
Well, let's hope the plan works, and we'll do our very best to help you out as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, enjoy your fishing today.
Thank you.
Well, with a good stiff breeze now coming in from the northwest, we decided to head back up the loch and meet up with Stan and Mark again, where we're going to explore some of these cracking bays and drifts down the west end of the loch. Now, hopefully we'll pick up another FEROX trout, but to be honest, the standard trout in Loch Arkaig, which range from sort of 12 ounce to £1.5 pounds, sometimes larger than that, fight like absolute demons, and there's plenty of them, and they're generally not too shy with the fly. However, with all the rain we've had in the last few days, the loch has risen around about 2 foot, which unsettles the fishing, and as such the fish are being a little bit more dour than what we would expect. However, down the western end of the loch, the drifts are absolutely stunning, and whether you catch something or not, it's a fantastic place to fish, and without a doubt the jewel in the crown of Lochaber's fishing.
How long have you been fishing on Arkaig now for, Stan?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I came up here in 2010, I think. For the first time. And I was very lucky. I had a FEROX, about £7, and been hooked ever since, basically.
Now, for the viewers, you say you had a FEROX. How did you catch the FEROX?
Just basically what you see now is fly rod, flies, fairly standard flies.
So, how do you reckon that Arkaig and Lochie, for that matter, fish the FEROX will take the fly readily off the surface? There are other lochs they don't.
I don't know what it is, but it's certainly something special about Arkaig and Lochie, because double figure fish will take the fly here, whereas in the likes of Loch Arkaig, Loch Arkaig, they are occasionally caught the fly, but it's more like pure chance. And certainly the fact that the fish are eager to take here is, I wouldn't say well known, but it's known, and therefore people come and fish for it. But not enough, in my opinion, because this is...
We've talked about Ireland before, and the fishing in Ireland is good, but the marketing for the fishing in Ireland is fantastic.
That's what makes a big difference with Ireland. We have equally as good fishing in Scotland as the Irish do. But both Culture, the Irish Tourist Board, really have got marketed fishing right now, and always have done. I remember as a kid going to watch Irish Tourist Board films, and that wasn't yesterday. Scottish Tourist Board, or Visit Scotland, or whatever we want to call them, seem to take absolutely no interest in fishing in Scotland.
Which is tragic, really.
Well, they maintain they can't sell it as a product, because if you go to play golf, the golf course is always there. Whereas if you're fishing, Sometimes there's no water in the river or too windy to get in the loch. Therefore, it's not a product that they can market, which...
Well, this year, Stirling Council are holding the annual International Angling Festival, which is supported by Visit Scotland as part of Homecoming for 2014, so hopefully that'll maybe give them a little insight into how wrong they are.
Possibly, but I've been involved in marketing Scottish fishing since the 1980s, and nothing I've seen has been done by the Scottish Tourist Board or Visit Scotland has impressed me yet. But we can be forever optimistic and hope that...
I think selfishly, it's kind of nice to have a loch like this all to yourself pretty much, but at the same time for economical reasons it's a shame, because it could breathe a bit of life into the area.
Well, certainly there's
tourism.
economic advantages to exploiting a fishing resource as wonderful as this. We've got the place ourselves. I think I've seen one other boat out today.
How long is Arkaig? What sort of size is it?
Mark, how long is Arkaig?
13 miles.
13 miles long.
One, possibly two boats out.
And it's about, what, maximum 3/4 of a mile wide?
Aye, probably that. It's great, great pike fishing, pike on the fly, the water's clear, plenty of trout in the sort of 3/4 to a pound class. Happily catch all day.
We haven't got the best of conditions today. It's could do with a little bit more breeze, but so it's quiet at the moment.
Well, after a great day's fishing and the rain looking like it's going to close in, we decide to head ashore and head back to our accommodation for dinner. When we fish at Loch Arkaig, we stay at Ardekhiv, which is a stunning property on the banks of Loch Arkaig itself. Ardekhiv sleeps 6 people in the main house, 6 people in the cottage, and the kennels, which has been restored also, sleeps up to 5. And given the location, these properties, both outside and inside, really do create that home away from home. Both Ardekhiv house and cottage are run alongside Achnacary Sporting, and given the amount of people that these properties sleep, they make an ideal location for that perfect sporting break, whether that be fishing, shooting, or indeed just completely relaxing. The accommodation in the house is now available over the summer from Sunday to Sunday for up to 6 people in the house. Prices are around £1,000, which, as you will agree, is a fantastic price for a fantastic place in a fantastic setting with also fantastic fishing.
Hey
So up early the next morning and we waken to a flat calm, and as beautiful as it may seem, the flat calm conditions really aren't the best for trout fishing, as many of you will know. So as I mentioned before in the programme, when you go out fishing it's good to be versatile and make sure that you do carry everything with you at all times, or certainly I do, and as such we decided to go for the pike. Oh, look at that! Now weather such as today's, with the hot temperatures in the 20s and a flat calm, makes ideal conditions for catching the pike. And it wasn't before long before the pike started giving us some action, with plenty of chases and swirls on the surface. And these weren't jack pike; these are good pike. And Derek, our cameraman, being a keen pike fisher himself, we just told him to put the camera down and have a cast because we could see the anticipation on his face. And Stan Headley was the same as well, as he loves his pike as much as his trout. And it wasn't before long before Derek had a pike straight away on the fly, taking him right off the surface. And after making a good account for itself, the pike, which was around a sort of 5-6 pound mark, was safely returned to hopefully fight again another day. Not long after Derek's fish, it didn't take long before I moved a few fish and then hooked a fish right on the surface, which appeared to be into the double figures and was giving me quite a tussle, which was great fun and very visual fun. And so after about 10 minutes or so, again we got this fish into the net after a great fight and a few great runs. And this fish was approximately 11 pounds, which again was safely unhooked and returned to the water. We'll get a picture.
Well folks, that brings us to the end of another edition of Hooked UK. It's been a great show on Loch Arkaig. We've caught the FEROX on the top of the water, on the fly, and not only was it a cracking fish, it was actually Stan Headley's largest brown trout ever. And at £10, you know, it's a cracking fish. There is much larger fish to be had in Loch Arkaig, and I'm sure we'll be back in the near future to try and catch some of them. Behind me we've got the River Partick, the falls in the River Partick, which is actually at the head of the same system as the River Lochie. We're going to be returning to Lochaber in the coming months, where we're going to be fishing on the River Lochie, amongst other places. We're going to be catching up with the Lochaber Fisheries Trust to have an in-depth look at the fantastic work that they do behind the scenes, and also the marketing initiatives in order to promote Lochaber as a fishing destination. To book fishing in Lochaber, you just need to visit Fishpal, who have got their new Fish Lochaber site, where you could book the fishing that we featured on the show today online and keep up to date with catches in the area. The website's at the bottom of the screen, along with our own. And as always, please get in touch if you've got any questions about our shows, location, anything at all. And although we didn't get the famous Jacobite gold in Loch Arkaig today, we've certainly got a few treasures to keep, and certainly will bring us back to this fantastic area. So from the beautiful River Partick in between Lochaber and Badenoch, we wish you farewell and hope you tune in for the next Hooked UK. Thank you very much.